Are you ready for the next segment of tonight's program? Oh, okay, just checking. Tonight's featured speaker is a gentle force in her own right. She joins us today with her story, a story rooted in legacy and in culture, community, drive, and a daring vision. Our speaker, Alexis Meruelo, is a dear friend of HACR's. She's the Chief Purpose and Vision Officer of the Meruelo Group, a family-held company that owns over 25 different companies spanning a multitude of industries, including media and broadcasting, hospitality, entertainment, food and beverage, finance, construction, and even sports, including the local hometown favorite, the Arizona Coyotes, the national hockey team. Not only does Alexis represent her family as the ownership group for the NHL team, but she also serves as the chairwoman of the Arizona Coyotes Foundation. And as if that didn't keep her busy enough, Alexis works diligently to drive purpose and impact across all the companies in her family's company portfolio. She helps them target and impact the communities that they work in and that they are a part of. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to tonight's esteemed speaker, the Chief Purpose and Vision Officer of Meruelo Group, Alexis Meruelo. Hi. Well, Alexis, thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
On behalf of HACR and all of our LES attendees, it's so wonderful to be here in your hometown. You're such a gracious host. As you know, our Latino Empow Her Summit is dedicated to the exploration and celebration and advancement of what it means to be a Latina in corporate America, this special intersection of identities between gender, culture, and ethnicity. We also know that there are no monoliths here, right? We're all different. Each of us come with our own histories, social, political, economic experiences, educational experiences that make this intersectional identity that we share very unique. And that's why I'm so excited about our conversation, because you are unique. And it's your intersectional identity that we're going to be exploring a little bit today. So thank you for sharing with us in advance. So I want to help everybody here understand you. I had the privilege and, frankly, the joy of getting to know you a little bit over these last couple of days and over the few the months that we've really been getting to know each other. And I have a sense that your foundation really rests in your family, right? So let's begin with the story of your family and your family's legacy. What is your family story? How did you get to be who you are through them?
Yep, absolutely. So first of all, I just want to say welcome to everyone here tonight. We are excited to have you all in the Valley. So on behalf of the Coyotes, warm welcome. I know you guys traveled a lot of different places to be here, so we just really appreciate it. And I want to take the time to center everyone in the room and just let you guys know and remind you that this week is really about you, right? So this week is about you learning, growing, connecting, and making sure that you get everything possible so that you can sit on that board, so that you can be the leader that you want to be. And if me sharing my family's story helps you to get there, then my job is done, and I know all the other speakers feel the exact same way. So excited to kind of share more about our family and what we've done, and then some tidbits as a female and what I've learned. So first things first, soy cubana 100%, okay? Mi mamá es de Bejucal y mi papá de Havana. Don't let the blonde hair fool you. A ver. And my family company all started 40 years ago with mi papá. And he started when he was 21 years old in downtown LA. So my parents are both from Cuba and they immigrated here. And he always had a passion for business. Negocio, 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 right? When he got here, he's like, I'm gonna live the American dream, I'm gonna do it. Okay. So he gets here and he started working at El Pollo Loco. And then one day he said yes. And one day he said, I'm gonna do it on my own, pero lo voy a llamar La Pizza Loca. So that's how that started, true story. And so he turned around this broken pizza shop in downtown LA, and it took off because he created all these Latino flavors, right? So la mexicana, chorizo, jalapeño, all the good stuff, and it took off. And so when he was 21, he had 1 store, and by the time he was 29, he had 75 stores. Okay, so that was just the beginning of the story, and it's a testament to his drive, his determination, but also all the people that he brought along with him to help that dream come a reality. And so today, his passion has always been turning around broken companies, right? And so from the pizza, he went to construction, media, hotels, gaming, banking, food manufacturing, the list goes on. And the latest acquisition, the one that we've been really proud of, is the Arizona Coyotes NHL team. And the coolest thing about it is that we are the first ever Hispanic owners in the NHL, period. And then we also hired the first ever Hispanic CEO in NHL history. So it's really, really been incredible to be a part of that journey and to be in the family, because now as second generation, right, it's our legacy that we get to carry on, but also we get to help everyone along the way. So that's a little bit about us.
That's wonderful and inspiring, that journey. And you said it correctly, right, that you're the second generation, you're taking this forward. This is a legacy that you stand on, and it's the legacy that you're going to use to build something as well. So I want to talk about this kind of the common thread in some of your father's business ventures and what is contributing to your leadership, as we talked about, which is this unfaltering commitment to driving business growth through and within, like within the Latinx community, right? That all of these business opportunities started thinking about, well, this is an untapped market and this is a real need that I see because I'm a member of this community. And now here you sit as the Chief Purpose and Vision Officer, effectively taking that and translating that across the portfolios, making sure that legacy lives. So could you speak to a little bit about why corporate philanthropy is important, right? Not just to your family, but yes, that too, but to the companies that you run.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and I'll be very honest, today I firmly believe that you cannot have business without heart. They have to go hand in hand. And if you're missing the heart, if you're missing the community and the philanthropy part, your business will fail, period. So for me, I know that my role in the company will always evolve and will always change, but the one thread that I want to just take across all the companies from here until I'm 80 years old is community and impact, and how we can help other people and be those leaders that I wish that we always would have had, right? So I get to, I mean, it's a joy, right? Every single day I get to either work in Arizona with 50 plus nonprofit organizations across the valley, as well as a ton of different DEI cohorts that we work with to amplify the impact, right? So when you talk about sports, we use sports as a vessel to help amplify what other people are doing across the valley for good, right? And then I also get to use philanthropy within our organizations and ensure that there's a heartbeat and there's a heart within every single company. So whether it's hotel, casino, gaming, construction, media, I try and bucket my days. So some days will be just hotel and gaming, other days will be just the team. So we're busy, but it's a joy because I get to really focus on the people, on community, and how we can essentially continue to do good, right? Because you have to grow the good in business. It's no longer something that's a choice, it's a must. And so for us, that comes as a family, but it comes with a lot of heart, so.
Beautiful. And then taking that to the personal level, when you think about your own leadership journey, and your leadership aspirations, where does the passion for community engagement, like where do you see that in your own journey? And how has it impacted your definition of leadership for you?
So for me, it's always been my passion and my strength. And so in a family business, and I was just talking to someone at our table about this, but it's done very differently, right? So I hope that I can share a little bit about how family businesses work, and then you guys can teach me how corporate America works. But I think there's a lot of synergies and a lot of things that we can both take away and learn from each other. But for us in a family business, what my siblings and I plan on doing is splitting the roles, right? So that we're not all doing the same thing. And so for me, my passion in the company is people and culture and DEI and community. And my brother is very focused on building a Stanley Cup winning team. So he's trades and deals and GMs and da-da-da. And my sister's all numbers, okay? So she could sit in a room and read analytics all day and read the finances, and she's in heaven. And I'm like, that's great, because I can't do that, ni pio. So it's great that for us as a family, we've figured out our own system, how we can divide and conquer, because I don't think I could do it alone. I could not take it over alone. But the fact that we get to do it together is really special. So I'd be lying if I said it was easy every day. It's a challenge. But at the end of the day, it's us that makes the decisions. And just like I was telling her, there's no red tape, right? It's like, si lo digo, lo van a hacer, right? So if I say it, it's going to get done. And that's a lot of power, but that's a lot of pressure too, right? So how do I stay grounded and stay in my lane? And that's the way that we've kind of developed a system so that everybody together can run 100 miles in their own lane, and then we'll all meet each other at the end. So,
I think that speaks to the core component that I believe is really important about leadership, which is that it's teamwork. And that while there is a lot of individual success, and we can all testify to that none of us actually do this by ourselves. And whether it's the context of your family or a sponsor or a mentor, and we'll talk a lot about that over the course of the conference today, this leadership happens in community, right? And that we do succeed in the context and with the shoulders and in the following the footprints of others. So I really appreciate that reflection as well. And we spoke, you mentioned it yourself, the little bit of difference. There's a family company, and then there's corporate America. There are a lot of public companies here today. But we're also, corporate culture within that, and the companies that you work with, maybe there are more similarities than not, particularly as it comes to the experience of being a Latina in some of these workplaces. And so when you think about your experience and some of these perspectives, can you share what your perspective is as a Latina in those workplaces, in these leadership positions, to these other Latinas who are in the room today?
Absolutely. So I've had the privilege of sitting in executive board meetings since I was a little girl. So yo era chiquitica, and I would be going to all these board meetings and executive meetings with my dad. And it was great, right? And I've been very blessed and privileged to learn at a very young age what it takes and what the conversations are being said in the room and how it works. But the main issue is that it would be me and 12 men sitting around me, right? And this was 10, 15 years ago. So glad to say that things are changing, but a lot of the same issues still stand, right? And I know exactly what it feels like to sit in a room and to feel like my voice is less than because I'm a female. And I would sit there and I would doubt myself, and I would think, why would any of these men care what I have to say, right? And so I think one of the main lessons and the best advice I could give to executives in this room is, well, first of all, your voice does matter, obviously. But second of all, it's you have to believe in you, right? Because I could have all the most amazing supporters sitting around me, but if I, at my core, don't believe in myself, never gonna happen. And second, my challenge to everyone in this room is that when you walk into a boardroom or you walk into that big meeting, you at your core, you have to believe that your voice is equal to your counterparts, okay? Because if you don't believe that, it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna, right? We're not gonna ever get that equality that we're looking for. So my challenge to you all is to do that core work and then use all the other lectures and speakers and advice that you're gonna hear, kind of like on the cherry on top, right? All the sprinkles and the toppings. But at the very core, you have to believe in you, and you have to truly believe that your voice is equal to the males. Because if you don't, and it's hard, okay? Because I fight that battle a lot, and I have the privilege of sitting in on NHL meetings and board meetings and governors meetings, and I feel like sometimes I'm the only female and that my voice is tiny and that I won't be heard. But I truly, truly, truly want every single woman in this room to have their voice, to find their power, to get that core and to sit there and know you are equal. And you have to believe it, okay? All right.
I told you she's a champion of the Latino superpower. It's there, right? Advocate, 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 right? Even if it's to ourselves, sometimes we need to hear that. But I do want to kind of hone in a little bit. So you mentioned things are changing. I'm glad to hear that. But what gives you the most hope that business practices and business cultures are becoming a better place as they're supporting gender equity across the board, thinking about all the companies that you work with?
Oh man, well things are so different now, right? And I think even from seeing it when I was in high school to seeing it now, there's been shifts across how we hire and the ways that we're looking at work and the ways that we've been kind of collaborating amongst groups, right? Because it's our responsibility to ensure that we are paving the way, not only by our leadership, but also because of the people that are in the same room as us. And so I wanna give a fun example, because I go to a lot of these things and sometimes I feel like the speakers, I'm like, just say the truth, or just say it, right? So I'm gonna go off course and I'm just gonna say it. So when I first started out, there was a boss that I had, because I started at the very bottom of the company, okay? So I started at our manufacturing sales plant, and I was wrapping food samples in the back of a warehouse for years, okay, because I wanted to, one, learn, but also to gain the respect of everyone and the team before I moved up. And so she was the head of sales, a VP, and I'll never forget her, because she would walk into the room, and every single morning she'd be like, woohoo, hey, what's up, guys? And she was so, you could hear her laugh from across the table, across the hallway, and you're like, Tracy, what are you doing at 6 in the morning? And she was loud and vivacious, and she was herself, and she was shining, and she killed it in the numbers. She would bring in the best sales and the best everything, but still was so positive. And it's people like that that I got to see within our own company that inspired me, right, and set the tone. Because it's one thing to have a lot of male examples, and I adore all the males that work with us, they're fantastic, but it's different to see it in a female, right? And so for me as a young girl to watch her do it and to be kind and to be empathetic and show all of her emotions and still be successful, that shook me to my core, and I was like, oh, that's what I want to be, right? So everyone in this room deserves to have that kind of leadership shown to them, and if you haven't, I urge you to try and find someone like that who is just genuinely themselves, because it will inspire you to be the same way. And it's our job to hire people like that, right? To hire people and continue to hire people that are female, that are strong, that are loud, that do it different. And thank God we hired her, because now I'm all shook up inside. So.
It's those are the memories that inspire us. And for those of you who are with us for the first time, you may not know this, but we're going to speak a lot about authenticity, which is the word that, that describes what you're capturing. There's been a lot about the importance of recognizing that the companies create space for your authenticity, that you tap into it and that you hold strong, but that they make space for you. And so I'm glad to know that you had that experience early kind of in your career development, and that I know many of us have had that, but I'm sure there's some of us in the room who, to be honest, maybe haven't had it their entire careers, or maybe are still looking for that authentic space, right? And so you don't need to raise your hand, I'm not gonna ask you that, but it's an honest reflection, and that this is a place for us to kind of get into tune with that and the power of that authenticity as well. Mm-hmm. So, before we move to the next set of questions, I just want to do one comment. What is your hope for the women in this room, given your reflections on what it means to be Latina in the workplace?
I hope that every single one of you finds your power and shines. That's what I hope. And however I can help you get there, I will be here tomorrow, I will be here tonight. Please connect, because that's my hope for all of you, is that you're shining, that you are empowered and that you found the right mentors and leaders that will get you there. So, and I genuinely mean it. I want to connect. Call me, text me, whatever you need.
Take her up on it. In the spirit of my colleague Jai, LinkedIn, connect with her right now, right? Take your picture, hashtag, the whole deal. So you know, not only are you a dynamic young leader, next gen leader, you know, with a very special experience, but you're a woman in sports, right? And so let's kind of focus on that a little bit, because we know that women in sports are a real minority, right? Across other industry too, but we know that. And for example, we also, I mean, we all didn't see it, but I saw the Super Bowl, and I think we've all at least now heard now this amazing commercial, you know, the Mexican woman playing football, driving this concept, like football is for women too. Like just impactful, touched my heart to see that, right? And thinking about the power of the recognition that sports is too a multi-gender space, right? And that it's not always positioned that way, right? So let's talk about your experience with the Arizona Coyotes. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the most potential growth for female leadership in sports, given your perspective now as a team owner?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. So I'm gonna take it in two pieces. And for those of you who don't know hockey, give me 2 minutes to catch you up to speed, and then crash course on the history of the team and what's going on, and then I'll talk about the future for females in sports. So first off, the Coyotes in Arizona for the past 30 years have had an extremely difficult time, right? They have been losing on and off the ice for the past 30 years since they came here from Canada. And then fast forward to 2019, and we get a call, and it was the old owner and said, hey, do you want to buy 5% of the team? So we met with him, and over dinner we agreed, and at the end of the dinner, we had him at 95%. So he graciously and willingly sold us the company, but when we acquired it, it came with a lot of challenges, okay? So first of all, we walk in the door, it's losing $20 million a year. They haven't won a Stanley Cup. They have never made it to the playoffs, and they have just not been a shining star in the Valley. Okay, so that's our first day on the job. No pressure, right? But now we've gotten to the point where in the past 3 years, we have been working behind the scenes to create a new stadium and entertainment district. And this would, if this goes through, this would be the first ever home and stable home for the Coyotes for the next 30, 40 years. And so we're really, really excited because it would mean stability and it would mean a lot of other things. And yes, come May, right, there's gonna be a residential vote that goes on in the city, and Tempe is where the stadium is gonna be. And yes, sure, there's a chance that it doesn't go through, but this is for my dreamers in the room. Let me see my dreamers. Okay. All right, so what if it does, right? What if this vote goes through? And what if we get to build the first privately financed stadium and entertainment district in the state of Arizona? There's more. And what if we get to be the first ever family to bring the first ever Stanley Cup to the state of Arizona? And what if we get to be the first Hispanic family to do it? All right. And then cherry on top. What if I get to be the first female Hispanic NHL owner? All right. I got your attention. So those are my dreams, and that's my family's dream, that's my family's legacy, and we are just a couple months away from getting the residents and the votes back and seeing what the future will be. But I talk about, and I wanted to set the landscape for sports because I want to let you guys know that there is no dream that isn't obtainable if you truly, truly, truly want it. And don't let anything stop you. And so for me and my family, we have never played hockey in our lives, but I'm taking ice skating lessons, okay? We have never been hockey fans, but boy, are we the biggest fans on earth. And we're bringing our entire Cubano family with us, okay? So if we can do that, we are dreaming of a beautiful, big, brand new home for the team, and ultimately a Stanley Cup, and to be the first Hispanics to do it. And by golly, we will not sleep until that is done, okay? So I say it to inspire you. I say it to show you that we are here, that there's families out there that want to do good, that want to set examples and lead in sports, because we are a minority and we are 1 in 32. 1 in 32 owners, and that's it. And 0 Black owners yet, okay? So it's a big deal. And I don't take it lightly, and I know it's a big responsibility. But to answer your question on the second part, where I see female leadership going, I see the doors blowing wide open, because every single time I walk into our office, I am inspired by all the women that surround me. And the Coyotes, we may not have a Stanley Cup, but we do have the largest female front office in the league. So that's a win I'll take all day long. And I hope to continue building that and to continue working directly with the NHL to open up the pipelines, to open up DEI, to increase street hockey so that more minorities can play and grow up playing, and then the pipeline of Black and Hispanic and Asian families can be seen on the ice, right? There's so much to it. There's a lot of complexities, but there's no little work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done.
There is.
So.
And so I just, before we're going to open up to Q&A, by the way, in just a short bit, so please kind of get your questions ready. But I did want to just hone in. We talked a little bit about leadership characteristics, right? And as part of this change, and that door blows open, what do you think is going to have to change about what we recognize and celebrate in leadership?
Okay, so I thought about how I was going to respond to this. And if you take away nothing from this talk, I hope you take this away. And that is, in today's society, explain to me why that success is equated to being dominant and cutthroat and getting the competition and being male and being assertive. Why is success not equated with being warm, loving, empathetic, kind, patient? Why? Okay, so that's my challenge for all of you, is I hope to be a leader in sports that is completely different from every other male white owner that there currently is. I hope to shake it up, and I hope to be empathetic and warm and patient and caring, and I hope to equate those adjectives with success. Okay, so I hope that all of you can take those adjectives across the industries that you work in, whether it's Chevron, Pepsi, UPS, Morgan Stanley, wherever you work, whatever industry, media, entertainment, doesn't matter. Take those qualities with you and show people that being a mother, that being caring, that being kind, that's what success is. Not being cutthroat and male, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm so tired of it, and I will not be quiet about it. So show people how it's done and show them that success can mean so many different things, even in business.
So I think, I'm going to sum that up and say, I hear you talking about not just the heart of companies, but our hearts have a role, right? And when we talk about authentic leadership, you'll know what that is because it's what your heart tells you to do. It's how you most naturally stand up. It's how you most naturally lean in. And it's how you know the decision needs to be made, even if nobody else knows it in the room. And I actually, I know firsthand, since I know many of you in this room, and looking forward to meeting the rest, but many of you are already breaking glass ceilings and have done it and will continue to do it, and others are following right behind you. And all of that is done with the heart of a leader. But how we define leadership is really the opportunity here for us. So thank you so much, Alexis. So, I'm going to open it up to you. This is a very special opportunity. If there are any questions in the audience, please feel free. We have our mic runners here, our colleagues, Ileana and Shanae. If you have a question, just raise your hand and they will come grab you. Who's going to be first? The daring one. I'll give you a sticker. I see we have a hand in the back.
So I notice you talk a lot about your leadership journey, and I think that's fantastic. And we were talking at the table about disruption and what that looks like. My question to you is, within your workforce, one trend that I've seen tonight in just talking to a few people has been representation in corporations or companies. So it leads me to ask two questions of you. My first question is, what does that look like within your, I guess really across your enterprises, right? And then secondly, how do you empower those folks to be able to have those big dreams like you do?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, I think it's twofold, right? Because there's ways that we can implement through DEI practices that go from the top to the bottom. And so what's different about our company is that it's not a public company, right? It's a private company. So when we set the rules, it's what we say, right? It doesn't have to go through all these different crazy things, which make it even harder. Sorry, which make it even harder to implement. I didn't mean it like that. Sorry. To me, it sounds crazy. But anyways, so for us, it's much simpler, right? So when I sit down with all of our companies have presidents, they all have directors of HR, and when I go and meet with all of them and I sit down with them and I say, hey, from the top down, this is how we want to hire. This is our rubric. These are our metrics. You must meet this quota. You must meet with X amount of Hispanics. You must meet with X amount of African Americans before you complete a hire, right? And then next program, okay. Once they're here, how are you making them feel welcome? Do you guys have the special welcome? And they're all different to every company, right? Because the way you hire in construction is different than the way you hire in hospitality. The way you hire in sports is different from the way you hire in banking. So each one is different, but each one has their own program or metric or system that helps to lift up, right? So for me, the way we think is, how can we ensure that our teams know what the rules are and know what is expected of them when hiring and making people feel welcome and making people feel special, right? And that comes from me and my family and the way we set an example and the way we sit down and the way we lead. So for us, it's easy to set that. Now, how our employees go about doing it, that's on them too, right? Our team members have to take that responsibility and have to get excited and have to want to welcome everybody no matter what walk of life or where they come from and all that stuff. So long-winded answer to the question, but we do things differently than a public company would, for better or for worse.
It's something I would just jump in and just say, one commonality though, so we know that culture change happens from the top, whether you're in a family company or a public company. So the role that our CEOs plays, regardless of the regulations of the business, drive change in companies, and that's something that we do know across the board.
Yep, so the more of you that are sitting at the top.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right, next question. I can't quite see. I think there's one right there.
Oh, good. Good evening. Thank you for your talk and your inspiration. I love your shoes.
Hey! Thank you.
I do love with the same passion your title.
Thank you.
And I have a question for you.
Yes.
Empathy, heart, we all here are sure you inherited that from your Latin inheritance. Can you tell me what else, as a Latin inheritance, has, what other traits from being Latin have helped you during your career?
Oh, that's a great question. Bueno, me encanta el café. So, pilón, or what's the other one? Gaviña is really good. No, bueno, I think being very family-oriented has helped me a lot. Because at the end of the day, even if we're all to go away mañana and we're all to disappear, I would have my family and I'd be happy. So in that sense, being grounded. And los hispanos siempre están con la familia, ¿verdad? So me da orgullo estar con mi familia and to have everybody together. Those core values of being, you know, a family unit, no matter what, right? You always come home, and I grew up listening to Celia Cruz and dancing salsa, and, you know, so for me, I think the family values, I think believing in yourself. I had a strong dad that really taught me to not bend, right? To stay true to who you are. Don't let other people influence you. Kind of be grounded. And yeah, I guess it's just to be, I love coffee, I love pastelitos, and I hang out with my family a lot. So. Yeah.
Thank you for that question. It was a perfect ending to this conversation. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you, Alexis, for joining us today and sharing your story with us. This is, somos familia, somos en comunidad, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where it starts, with honest conversation, with being ourselves. So thank you so much. And I want to thank each and every one of you for, again, joining us today, for coming with open hearts, open, brilliant minds, right? And frankly, just an enthusiasm for the next couple of days ahead, because we do have an experience for you. So I hope you are excited about it. And I hope that you're prepared to be as inspired as I am just thinking about it, frankly. You know, it's